Hi, everybody. Welcome to Soul Connections. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbe, here on the YouTube channel of Trinity Temple of Sacred Wisdom. Good evening. It is an interesting time in the world around us, and being here in Maine, we had a little bit of spring and got excited, and then we had some more snow and sleet yesterday and today. So Mother Nature reminded us that she's in charge of the seasons, regardless of what we want. And I'm sure you have your own version in your neck of the woods. So thank you for joining us tonight. Soul Connections is all about reconnecting to your inner self, to that part of you, your soul, that has all the wisdom and is really connected to your spiritual teams. And what I mean by that is your angels, your guides, your ancestors, mystical creatures, star beings, animals, whatever. Any divine energy that's of the highest and fullest vibration. Any of that is here to assist us in really living our path and our purpose. Because being here in this 3D world, it can be a little daunting to have to decide which way to go, or to make some decisions that seem so difficult to us in the moment. And that's where the wisdom and guidance comes in. So we start off by doing a really deep healing meditation, really calling in all of the divine support that we can muster this evening. And even, when you're watching in the future, you're still part of this particular connection. And then afterwards, I will do messages for you from my spiritual teams, your spiritual teams. And I do that in the form of card readings. And so tonight's deck is, again, Ask Your Guides by Sonia Choquette. As I've said a couple times now, it still wants to be read. It was the very first deck that I learned how to do oracle readings on. And so it has that really lovely simplicity of the answer coming through really clearly. And it also lets us know, like, what part of our spiritual team is speaking to us. And sometimes that's really helpful for us to feel and sense and know. So if you would like a reading after the meditation, some of you, I'm sure, have already done this, but all you have to do is type in yes, please. And that lets me know that you would like some insight. And it lets your spiritual team know that, hey, you're ready to receive that, even in the meditation and in the wisdom that'll come through the messages. So, and the other thing is, as you are sitting with us, listen to the messages for other people, because they always have a connection to us as a whole. We are all human. We all are connected to different vibrations, and it just lets us know, like, what energy is up on the planet in this particular week. So we might hear a message from for somebody else that lets us, bring somebody to mind, and it's like, oh, we might share it at another time because sometimes you're the messenger as well, because we all are. It's our job. So I'm going to invite you to get nice and cozy, get really comfy, because we're going to do this, recharge our batteries meditation. And as you do that, you want to make sure that you're sitting with your arms and your legs uncrossed. We want to keep the energy circuits wide open so that the energy from the divine can flow through us, not just to us, but through us. That's how the wisdom moves through our system. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just start to take a couple of nice deep breaths. And with each deep breath, pay attention to different parts of your body. We want our muscles to start to relax. Our muscles, especially the big ones on our body, they hold so much tension. So just start by paying attention to your shoulders and your neck and just seeing if you can allow them to push down away from your ears. And really just allow the tension to melt away for this moment. And maybe just notice your upper arms and your forearms and just see if there's anything there. Maybe you need to move your shoulders or wiggle your fingers, anything that will help the muscles to just release and let go of any tightness that you may be experiencing. And then checking in with our back. Our back is our strength, our support, our foundation. And sometimes that works so hard. So just check in your lower back and in between your shoulder blades and your mid back, even around your pelvic floor. And as you're giving your back permission to relax, also allow the front muscles that hold in your belly to relax as well. It's okay if our tummy sticks out a little bit, nobody's looking. And just relaxing the hips and the buttocks. Maybe feel it as it melts into the chair or the surface that you were on. And doing the same with our thighs, our hamstrings, even our knees, calves, and feet. And in this place where we're allowing our muscles to relax, go back to your jaw, go back to your forehead. Just see if you can allow those things to gently relax. And now we're going to ask that our spiritual team create a bubble of love and light around us to surround and protect our aura, surround and protect our energy field. So we feel in this beautiful, safe, and wonderful cocoon filled with unconditional love and light. And also filling the space that we're in, whether it's a room, our house, our car, wherever we might be, just really allowing that larger container to also become a sacred bubble of light. And we're going to ask the crystalline temple of light to activate around us allowing us to be held in this beautiful, multidimensional, energetic, sacred space where we can commune with the divine and all of our spiritual teams with ease and grace, knowing that all the work that we do here, all the messages that we receive are for the good of all and harm to none. Allowing our fears, our worries, our anxieties to just slowly begin to melt away, even if it's just for this brief moment. And we're going to ask Archangel Metatron to help us remember how to connect to our personal tree of life. And inviting his energy to come down through our crown and remind us how to hold our sacred tree trunk through our body and around our chakras so that we can sense and feel that strength, that support, that connection as it gently moves down our body. Just imagining the tree as large as you need it. Maybe it's a giant pine tree, maybe it's like a redwood or sequoia. Whatever tree you envision to be that strength and that backbone to help support your beautiful spine. And even connecting to the roots of our tree and the way they go deep within the earth and they spread wide and far across the planet, as deep and as far as we need it to. And remembering to access our connection to our Earth Star chakra beneath our feet, beneath the earth, so that we reconnect and plug into the divine feminine earth, Grandmother Earth, Gaia, Goddess, however you experience that. And as that reconnection happens, we're noticing that warm, comforting energy. Sometimes it feels like honey, and it's gold and light. Some people even experience it as like healing mud therapy. Thick and gooey, filled with healing properties, nurturing and nourishing our body, our mind, and our soul all in the same moment. And connecting to our root chakra beneath our tailbone, sensing that sphere of energy and light. And envisioning that beautiful red becoming lighter and brighter as any doubts or fears or worries around our safety, our security, our survival or stability, all of those melt away in just this moment. And moving up to our sacral chakra just below the belly button, and just inviting that beautiful orb again to lighten and brighten, becoming the vibrant orange that we know it can be, filled to overflowing with our creative juices, our creative energy. Filled with the beautiful ebb and flow of our emotional energy. Releasing any conditions around experiencing our emotions, experiencing our creativity, experiencing our sensuality, our sexuality, any restrictions that we have felt or that we have placed, releasing them just for this moment so that the energy may fully flow in the ways that it is meant to, as the divine being that you are. And moving into our solar plexus beneath our ribs and reconnecting with our personal sun, letting that orb of light shine outward.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Hi, everyone. Sorry that we got a little bit disconnected, but let's just bring our focus, our awareness, and our attention back into our solar plexus, into that beautiful sun energy that is the center of our being. In any ways that we have not allowed ourselves to be fully ourselves, holding love and compassion for that part of ourselves in each and every lifetime. And then bringing our focus, our attention, and our awareness up into our heart, and the way that our heart can hold not only the beautiful green orb, but also the pink orb of unconditional love that connects us to our higher and fuller purpose, connects us to our fifth dimensional sense of being, allowing us to move through and become a fuller, brighter, more vibrant version of who we are and who we are meant to be. And just taking a moment to focus into our heart on anything that might be holding that back. Maybe some old sadness or disappointment. Maybe some grief that hasn't fully processed through all of its beautiful stages. Maybe the heaviness of the world around us. And really, in that energy, allowing the green and the pink to swirl together like the yin and the yang. The human loving heart and the heart that knows no boundaries. The heart that connects us to Mother Mary and Buddha and Jesus and all of the ascended masters. And allowing that to radiate out to all the places within ourselves where we need love, attention, and understanding, respect, forgiveness, and dissolving any blame or shame or guilt that we've been carrying, releasing all the secret energy from our throat as we move into our throat and allow our true voice to shine through in all of the beautiful shades of blue. Any blue that you can imagine swirling through our authentic voice, our uniqueness. All of the ways we can express ourselves, all the ways our soul wishes to express and experience itself without restrictions, without conditions. And helping our words and our communication to carry that vibration of truth, integrity, and honesty. And sending that vibration of truth, integrity, and honesty out through the realm, out through not just our field, but as far across this planet as it is willing to vibrate. Letting our teams and our imagination send it wherever truth and honesty, integrity, where the vibration is ready to shift to one of a higher state of consciousness. Filling our hearts with gratitude for all the voices that are realigning in this moment to speak up and speak their truth. And allowing all of the people to be themselves, their true selves without fear, as we are meant. And bringing our energy and our awareness up into our third eye, that inner knowing spot where our senses all come together and share perspective, share with our intuition, our unique version of reality, what we're experiencing, how we're experiencing it. Bringing that wondrous tool of a brain into balance so that we not only hear their inner musings, but we invite the wisdom of the divine to intermingle with our own wisdom, shifting the sense of knowledge into one deeply embedded with wisdom. The ascended version of knowledge. And then reconnecting with our crown, opening our gateway, our connection to the divine, masculine above. Opening up our beautiful crystalline lotus with each petal connecting to a different divine source. And reconnecting to our soul star chakra, knowing that we never become completely disconnected, but being in that place where we feel the relief and sense of knowing of a moment of divine oneness. And as the divine energy flows down through our crown, through our energy system, and the divine feminine energy flows up through our feet, up through our energy system, we can feel the energy as it flows up and down easily, releasing all ways that we block ourselves from being open and free and in a state of love, gratitude, joy, and ease. Sending the energy out through each of our layers in our aura so that it also pulses out into our lifetimes, cleansing and clearing any unresolved energy for our ancestors and our lineage. In a place of not needing to know what's clearing and how it's clearing, just that sense of freedom and freeing as the energy lets go. No more tension, no more stress. Just ease and grace. And just taking a moment for your spiritual teams to share any wisdom with you personally. And sending gratitude out to the divine energy that is sending healing out to those in need, simply because we have the courage to come together this evening, or any other moment when this broadcast might be watched. And now returning our energy, our awareness back into the physical body and allowing our spiritual connection to stay completely open as we move back into our sense of where we are now in our bodies, in the room, in the space that we're in. Just taking a few deep breaths to shake out any excess energy. Stretching, yawning, whatever feels right for you to reconnect, maybe rubbing your hands or your feet together, stretching, yawning. And when you're ready, allowing yourself to open your eyes and just take a couple moments to reacclimate to the space around you. Welcome back. Sorry about that little disruption in the middle. But there's always a reason for that. And yes, Mercury is in retrograde. And when Mercury is in retrograde, it's so interesting the ways that communication um, has difficulty going from one to another. And we're seeing that in so many ways where, people are being communicated with who weren't supposed to be, or communications, aren't being heard clearly. Um, and all of those are just beautiful little messages. But guess what? We're right back where we needed to be. And the energy never left the group, which is so sweet. So here we are, and I am about to pull cards for people who would like messages. So your deck tonight is Ask Your Guides by Sonia Choquette. This is my original deck that I started with. If you have this deck, it may not look like this anymore because I have updated it, but it is a lovely deck, and I absolutely, um, you know, invite you to have it if you don't already, because the support that you get through it is just lovely. So here we are. So Rob, who do we have on tap tonight? All right, Amy Daniels, hello. I always love the Star Nations peeps. All right, so this is a great one. So your card is Psychic Awareness. And the divine soul is the part of your spiritual team that is communicating with you in this moment. So our psychic awareness is, we all have it. I know there are people who don't believe they're psychic, but the psychic energy is just a slightly expanded version of our intuition. And so your divine soul, your inner wise one, or your higher self, however you like to think about that, that divine soul part of you is reminding you that you have that beautiful awareness, that perception. You have that little part of you that knows when something's not quite right, when things are a little bit off, and trusting your soul, trusting the messages that you actually, you are right. There are times when we second guess that. Even I do from time to time, because, it may seem a little out there, but your team is reminding you to check in with that inner knowing, when you're making decisions. And if something doesn't feel right, then something isn't right. And here we are in Mercury retrograde. And part of that is that sometimes we don't speak the whole truth. Sometimes people say part of what they needed to say, but they don't necessarily give the information as much clarity as we need to make a really conscious decision. So think about the phrases, like, could you give me more examples of that? Could you go into a little more detail about that? And sometimes it's just a matter of the person speaking thinks you know what they're talking about, and it's just not really clear. It's it's also a good time for us to take a few deep breaths before we agree to anything, because miscommunication is a little bit high right now. um, and, once we get through the solar eclipse, we should be okay to some degree. But use your psychic radar, because that stays on tap regardless of what the planets are doing around us, regardless of what our work environment is like, regardless of what our family life is like. Um, our inner radar is always on tap. So your divine soul is just reminding you, check the radar once in a while, because maybe there's been a little blip that you need to pay attention to. And that's a great advice for the rest of us as well, Amy. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh, hello, Kevin. Happy Tuesday. Oh dear, don't take this one the wrong way. Some of these cards are right there. So it's the suffering card, and it's the divine teachers. It's not that you're suffering. So the divine teachers, think of them as like the master teachers, are letting you know that sometimes we all go into a place where we become the victim, where we focus on how we've been treated wrongly, how things haven't gone our way. And so the spiritual masters talk about that as focusing on our suffering. And, it may not be, hanging on a cross suffering, but in a way, our thoughts are controlling our life experience. And if our thoughts aren't positive, we are suffering with all the negativity that is churning through our own energy system. So our teachers, our divine teachers, are here saying, in what ways are you still experiencing some suffering? And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that it has to be anything major. It could just be, where are you not experiencing joy in your life right now? Some things are tedious that we have to do. But sometimes we're caught in a pattern. We're caught in a way of living our lives that, we just don't like anymore. It served us for a while, but through this really rapid expansion energy that we're going through on the planet, we really don't have time for suffering. Right? There's so much suffering out in the world around us. The best way for us to help with suffering that's out there is to take care of any suffering inside of us. Because when we heal anything that we're still attached to being a victim of, then that is making room, believe it or not, for more ways for us to become a victim. So if we want the people outside of us, out in the world, to stop experiencing suffering, stop the victimization, stop the bullying, then it starts inside ourselves. And so we can just take this, deep breath and go, okay, what ways am I still suffering? Or what ways am I still creating pain for myself? Sometimes it's like we have a really bad habit and we just keep doing it. We know it's a bad habit, but we don't have the courage to break the cycle. And so your team is saying you have a ton of courage to break anything, any cycle that you no longer want running in your life. And call on master teachers for your help. They don't have to be in physical form. There can be spiritual leaders from that you would like to aspire to their energy. And it may not be like Jesus or Buddha, but it might be Martin Luther King. It might be John F. Kennedy. It might be Mother Teresa. Like, there are a lot of other examples of um, divine teachers who have stood in their authentic truth, and have known that the only way to release suffering around them was to be in service. And to do that, they had to let go any of their own suffering so that they could just hold love and compassion for the people around them. Love that, Kevin. Thank you for having that message for all of us, because we definitely needed to hear that. Thank you. Ah, Stacy. Nice, nice, nice. Ooh, nice. So this message is new beginnings. And this is from the Divine Father. So whether you see that as God or the Divine Masculine, that it doesn't matter. But it had the Divine Masculine energy is a little more straightforward. The Divine Feminine is a little more circular, a little more spiral. So the Divine Father often takes that. So what I'm sensing for this is like a new doorway is opening for you, and it's bringing new possibilities and new ways of doing things. It's got some joy and excitement for your inner child. Like they're like, oh, this is exciting. Let's do this. And you're also being shown that, you know, like when we're in that child energy, I keep seeing your dad, when you were little, right? He would reach down his hand and you would take it. And somehow just holding his hand helped you feel sturdy and brave and able to do things you didn't think you could, right? And so the Divine Father energy is flowing through to help hold your hand if you need it. And you don't actually need it, but guess what? Sometimes it feels good to hold someone's hand, and have them journey with us. And this beautiful door of opportunity is, it's just going to be in this place of like a sigh of relief, like, okay, things feel like they're coming together and lining up in this moment. And um, here we are in spring, and it's like, what beautiful ideas do you want to plant? What thoughts and creations do you want to nurture into blooming? And again, let yourself be held and supported with that masculine energy. And the masculine energy that's holding your hand is just really helping you to remember how to stay steady and courageous and brave, and willing to take chances, right? Willing to try something new rather than being in that place where we're fearful of the unknown, so we don't even try to go out there and do something. So, woo! Let's look for those new beginnings. That sounds fun. Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. That was wonderful. Oh, you are very welcome, Kevin. I'm glad it was the perfect card for you. Hello, Mary. All right. And again, some of these cards are, can seem difficult. So this is loss, and it's your healer guides that are wanting to communicate with you. Okay. We all have a healing team that's their job. And so loss is one of those words that it's very subjective. Loss can mean, having somebody pass away. Loss can mean that, our favorite necklace is gone and we don't know where it is. But loss can also be when things have been a certain way for a long time and they just can't be that way anymore. And so we go through a grieving process because change is constant. And so nothing stays exactly the same. It can't. Otherwise, we're not growing and stretching. And when we try to keep things the same, we all know that the cosmic 2x4 comes in and smacks us and disrupts everything around us. So instead of being in a place of loss and grieving, which absolutely, if you are grieving something, please allow yourself the space and the time to do that. But sometimes we get really caught up in the past, the way things were, and we don't really allow ourselves some space for something new to come in. So it's very similar to Kevin's card. It's like, don't focus on the suffering. Focus on, okay, whenever something dies, whenever something leaves our realm, something more wonderful is ready to come in. And we might not be able to imagine that in the moment, but if we hold that intention and we hold that sensation, it's like, oh, this is leaving my life because something better is coming in. And even if we can't fathom that, even if we can't imagine it, just hold it in your heart space that that's what's coming in. And a lot of heart energy is clearing through your body right now, a lot of old disappointment, misunderstandings. And that's okay because it's making space for your heart to have more love and more joy in it. And we all need to make a little space. You know, it's springtime. It's time to declutter, clean our heart closet so that shiny and new, and it's got room for new things to be in it. So we can hang in our closet joyous memories that we can hold there and just carry with us. So don't focus on what you're clearing out of the closet, but what can you make space for? What love and joy can you make space for in your heart right now? Oh, we all needed that one too, Mary. Thank you. Ah, you are very welcome, Stacy. I'm very happy to be able to deliver that for you today. Hello, Jackie. Nice to have you. So your card is victory. And this is coming from your divine helpers. And the divine helpers can be really any divine energy that you feel assists you. Some people really connect to the angels. Some people really connect to their ancestors. And so just imagine these little worker bees who've been like helping you move into this place of the spotlight. And so victory is when things finally come together. We get the spotlight gets on us. We're like, yes, it happened. It's here. It's good. And our team wants us to take a moment to celebrate. Lots of times we don't celebrate ourselves. We don't celebrate our own personal victories. We only celebrate when other people think we should. But guess what? Sometimes a little win can be a big win. And the more we celebrate our courage to try different things and to get ourselves out there, and the more we're willing to stand up for what is important to us, those are all victories. And it's only our mind that makes them little or big. And your divine helpers are just showering confetti, love confetti and positive confetti around you. That's just saying, you've been having some great things happen, and take a moment to celebrate them because they're so proud of you. And you should be proud of you. And that is not an ego thing. When we're proud of something that we've accomplished, that's just honoring our creative spark and our uniqueness. And so take some time to celebrate because your team is definitely doing so. Maybe put on some happy music, but give yourself that moment to celebrate. We're so quick to go on to the next thing that needs fixing or working on. And we don't stop and enjoy all the work that we have accomplished. So just take some time to do that for yourself, because then the next time you have, a breakthrough, you'll remember that and you'll remember to celebrate. And we all need to do that. Thank you, Jackie. Wish I could have seen you, Ellen. We had a fantastic, magical weekend working on that divine energy flow. So here we are with balance. These are your divine teachers, okay? And the divine teachers are saying at this moment that, balance. One of the cards I worked on this weekend with people was the justice card, right? And so that's the balance of not just right and wrong or good and bad. It's the balance of, when are we in our light? When are we in our shadow? And when are we in positivity versus negativity? And so the divine teachers are just letting you know that things are a little out of balance, and when things are out of balance, we are easily distracted. Some of us are, will be scrolling on Facebook or through the internet, or playing video games or something like that. And some of us are watching TV, or and in some ways we lose time. Not that we ever lose time, but in those places we're not as balanced as we want to be. Are you having time in your feminine energy? Are you having time in your creativity? Are you allowing yourself space to just be Ellen and not the Ellen that other people think you should be? And then are we also taking time to take decisive action and get things done that we want to get done? Because all of those things are important. They're messages we spend to our spiritual team. Like, we say we want something, but then we don't make time for it. We don't make room for it. And sometimes then the team goes, okay, well, I guess you don't really want that. And we all have ways that our lives are out of balance. Every single one of us, maybe we spend too much time working and not enough time playing. And maybe we spend too much time, in this place of mindlessness rather than being in a place of connection. And it doesn't have to be equal numbers of hours. It has to be equal focus and attention. So what needs your focus? What needs your attention? What have you been focusing on that maybe you've been avoiding? Other things. We all do that too. We all get distracted by things because we just don't, don't want to do your taxes. That's mine right now. It's like, and so I might do 100 other things than do my taxes, but my team is like, okay, but you're not going to like it when you all of a sudden have to, focus on only that and you don't get any playtime. So just look at ways that any part of your life might be out of balance, and take steps each day to shift that. It's really easy for us to go, well, I'm overwhelmed. I can't. I'm anxious. We have all sorts of excuses, but we're a divine being. We have infinite possibilities. So, and guess what? The universe does not know the word no. So how can you say yes to yourself? How can you say yes to bringing your life into balance? How can you say yes to joy rather than suffering? Good one for all of us. All right. Thank you, sweetheart. Ah, hi, Deanna. Absolutely. All right. So we've got a lot of endings going on. So death, and this is the guardian angels. And again, this is not just like the tarot, the death card. People freak out like, oh no, somebody's dying or what. Um, and it can be that. It's not that it can't be that, but it's rarely that. Death is that energy of what in your life is done. What needs to stop? What have you tried 100 different ways to make it work? The minute we're trying and the minute we're making something work, the minute we're in that resistance energy, that's not flow. And you know that. And we all know that. Doesn't mean we don't do it because we're human, right? So the death energy is like, also think of it as fall, right? This really sweet woman who was from down south who came up to Maine. She was older and she came up to Maine and she'd never seen the trees without like leaves on them. And so she thought this huge catastrophe was happening because the trees were all dying. And it's like, no, it's part of their natural cycle here, that the trees let go of what the old leaves and make room for new buds to come out and new leaves to come out, and they go through that cycle. And so you're in a part of the cycle where something just needs to go. And I imagine you already know what it is. And you're like, oh, I know. Because it's hard. It's kind of like breaking up. You don't want to do it because it's hard and it's got all this stuff attached to it. But remember that the death energy is the compost that becomes the fertilizer for our future dreams. So do you want to just sit in the dead energy, or do you want to till it under so that new things can grow and new wonderful things can come in? And again, what comes in is even more magical than you've ever experienced up till now. So I don't know, it's worth a try. All right, my dear, have a great night. Thanks for being here. I don't do lifetime readings, sweetheart. I totally appreciate that. If you want a lifetime reading, you're going to need to book a session with me. Because that is more than a 5-minute reading. So I'd be happy, but I will pull a card for you. And that we all have warrior lifetimes. We all have lifetimes where we've been in the shadow and the light. And one of the great things about doing a past life regression is you can focus on that. And you cannot not only know the information, but you can go back and heal any energy that was unresolved at the time of that lifetime. So for me as a healer, it's more important to me to help you heal any unhealed parts of a past life than worry about who was I, when was I, what was I. It's like, okay, what parts of me need healing and what parts need that? But I am more than happy to do a healing where you go on a journey and find out. And usually when I do that healing with someone, you connect with at least 3 lifetimes, sometimes 5. So it can be well worth the time and energy. But let's see what your team has to say with you tonight. Maybe this connects to it. So your card is discontent, and it's the muses. So in the discontent energy, muses are our inspiration. They're the connection to our creativity. And that discontent is when things just don't feel right, and maybe what's not feeling right is that, maybe you're sensing that in a past life you've got something that needs healing, fixing, or whatever. But the discontent is showing up in that place of maybe a little bit of procrastination. Um, and sometimes we like do something creative and then we're critical of it and we're like, ugh, and we don't love and accept it, even for all of the beautiful mistakes we make in our creativity are like that compost for new things. So, scientists don't get, it right the first time. They go through enormous numbers of failures to get to that wonderful breakthrough. And so right now you're in a place where you're needing a breakthrough, and your team is, the your inspirational team is saying, shake it up a little bit. How are you doing creativity? Are you only writing? Are you only singing? Are you only doing artwork? Sometimes we just need to go out and experience creativity in a different way. I love to go to like botanical gardens because I am not somebody who's terrific with gardening, though I'm going to be working on that. Or maybe I go somewhere where they are like really creative with cooking. Or maybe I go into like a thrift store and look at some vintage clothes to see the patterns and the color combinations, and see if I can gain some inspiration. And believe it or not, I do that just so that I can do the writing I'm meant to do. So I can keep my channel open and my connection open so that I am open to receiving whatever my muses want to share with me in the creative realm. And so that disconnect sometimes can feel like boredom. Sometimes it just can feel like, I'm thinking of like, when we've been inside and had cabin fever, and we're just like, oh, I want to try something new. So maybe do some experimenting this week in different realms of creativity to see if you can really tap into what needs to shift for you. And if you're really wanting to focus on past lives, again, reach out and call me, because that is such an easy session to do, but it is very intense. And so I always want to be in a really sacred container to make sure that the pure energy comes through that is just yours for that. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out, because I would absolutely love to do that. Crows are messengers, right? Crows are messengers between us and the divine. And when they're flying in pairs, often that's a sign of like, are you balanced between the masculine and feminine energy? 2 by 2, right? Noah put them on the ark 2 by 2 because that provided balance. A 2 is a balanced number. A 3 is imbalance. So black crows don't have to be bad. Some people, it's a very good sign. For me, it's usually a sign like I need to pay attention to how I'm speaking, how I'm communicating. Am I saying things clearly to the divine? Or am I listening to others gossip a little bit too much? Because crows can be pretty gossipy. So just pay attention to that and acknowledge the signs you're getting, because then your team will get clearer and clearer with them. You are very welcome, Bernadette. So nice to have you here. All right, Rob, here we go. So yours is the priorities card. And again, this is the master teacher. Now look at that box filled with stuff, and he is down the path and heading away from it, right? So part of this is like, it's, kind of like spring cleaning, everybody, going through and deciding what can you donate? What can you give away? What can you throw away? What no longer fits? Sometimes we hold on to things because of nostalgia. Um, but you can take a picture of it and have it, somewhere, rather than having to have the whole object. And so maybe it's time to declutter a little bit, declutter your home, your workspace, um, even our minds need some decluttering. And what that does is it makes room for us to like move down our path, right? We can head down the path when we lighten our load. That's one of the things that Sonia Choquette talks about lots of times is about how do we travel lightly, and she uses it from the perspective of, if you're going to travel, do you want to be bogged down with all these suitcases and dragging them all over the place? Or do you just pack what you need? And maybe find some magical things along the way. So put what you don't need into the box. What's not an absolute priority right now, throw it in the box. Whatever is a priority, whatever is calling to your soul, go do that. Give that more time, give that more energy. Where is your soul wanting to go and journey? And find ways to sort of shift so that you're doing more and more of that and less of other people's priorities. Perfect. And with that, guys, have a great rest of your week. Thank you for being here, holding space for everybody who isn't with us live, and really listening to the messages that have come through for all of us. It's time for us to stop suffering. And it's time for us to move into our joy. And how do we do that? Through more balance, through setting priorities, to bringing in the divine and the masculine energy together, to opening up our throat and speaking our truth, living our truth, being our truth, so that the people around us have the opportunity to do that also. We don't have to be courageous alone. We can do it in a community, and that's what we're here for. So with that, you guys, thank you for being here. Bye for now.